Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Paranormal Guys. It's Wednesday. It's time for a regular show. Lots of good things going on here at the Sportcat shows, the Paranormal Guys, the Grit and Guardian Gang, and the Misfits. Some good news I can share. We will be going out soon, not live, but our shows will be tape delayed and playing in Denver and in San Francisco. I don't have station names yet. Well, technically I do. I just have to sign the contract, but I can at least announce they're out there. So that's good news. We're growing. We're growing fast. I didn't plan on getting into the West Coast market this quickly. So, but we were asked to come on in San Francisco, and after much arguing, I agreed to. So that's coming up. And in case you don't know it, the Thin Line Rock station is allowing me to play DJ, and I'm spitting some rock and roll Tuesdays and Thursdays. Hello, Wendell. From noon till 2, and having a blast. I posted a YouTube short last night about it, and it was a lot of fun. So I'm having a blast with it. I'm learning how to be actual DJ, so I'm a jack of all trades. Well, I think that's all I got to announce. Is chat's open. Wendell, you're here. The phone lines are open if you want to call, and I have got Dina backstage. Let's bring her in, so at least there's two of us in here, and I don't look so
hello.
I don't know, silly. Hello, Dina. Hello, Lonnie. Good morning. I don't know.
Good morning, Lonnie.
Work. So, but yeah. So good news. We're spreading. We're growing. We're going to be in Denver. I think we're going to be even up. Is it Fort Collins, Grand Collins? The antenna's on top of that huge mountain there, so it's transmitting down to the snow ski areas. I can't remember the name of them. Down into Denver, down in the valley and across. So that's going to be good. And the other is a cable channel, and they don't want audio. They want both audio and video.
Fun.
So we're actually going to be on a TV station.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous, but yeah. Well, I mean, we are growing so fast. It's yeah, Wendell, you're the only one here, but yet I'm in high demand. I don't get it. So
well, Lonnie's here with you.
Hey, Lonnie's here. Brenda's probably hiding and lurking back there somewhere. And I know my other stalkers are watching, the two of them. So but yeah, so we're growing. I'll have to memorize a K call sign. I don't know if I can do that.
You need to write them all down for me so I can remember them. You know I can't remember crap.
Well, I got this right now. Remember to listen to us on, hold on, let's get scroll faster here. You can listen on Fairfax Radio and Radio Fairfax, cable channel 37 outside of Washington, D.C. And of course, we're on WDJY in Metro Atlanta. And we also are home. And I called them, and I'm surprised he didn't get offended when I did the shout out. It was just the first thing coming to my mind. I said, this tiny little station.
Oh, no.
In Tampa. I didn't mean it that way, but it was just because I was editing and had a whole bunch going on. So I was surprised that he didn't shout me out about that. You can play the adopted love child on TV. Yes, you can.
Yes.
So, uh, the Misfits is not going to be on TV. I have chose only to do the Pair Our Normal Guys. However, and they emailed me after I did some great art, and they said that well, what I thought was great art turned out to be crap.
Aw.
They want to rotate between the two shows, so I don't know how I'm going to do
That's
that.
cool. I think you should.
Yeah, well, they said that would give us greater exposure.
Yeah, it will.
Oh,
What the?
I'm not disagreeing. Our agent is excited about us. She is pimping us everywhere.
Nice.
She asked me today, she goes, I'm going to give you a month and we'll get this Denver and California thing all worked out. And said, are you ready for a big station yet? And I was like, okay, what do you got in that? I don't know. She likes me for some reason, I guess. I don't know. She likes her shows. So one or the other. I don't know which it is, or she's a stalker, but I don't care. You know, she's getting us out there and getting us exposure. We only have one show air in DC so far, and it was a Misfits. So that aired Wednesday morning. I don't remember which episode it was. I think it was the game show episode.
Oh, awesome.
The first one. And of course, we've been on WDJY now for 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. So I think we're going on 4. We'll be going on 4 coming up. So we're proud to have that partnership. That one's great.
Yeah.
So Morgan wants to talk about how awesome the 2 symbol logo was. Warren, you were the only one that loved it.
I loved it.
So.
Did you see all of our praises on there in the chat? It was awesome.
I've had a bad day. I don't want to talk to people. I've had a bad day.
You didn't even look at all of our.
I read him. I read every single comment.
Oh my gosh!
Every hurtful one. I read it.
They weren't hurtful. They were good.
Let me share my screen here.
They were just overtoned with sexual connotations.
Yeah.
And that's our norm. It's okay.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, this was
we love.
Here, let me hide this real quick so it's not overlooking it. If I can figure out how to. There we go. So this was what I made for the radio station. Open the chat back up in case anybody in the chat actually likes it.
See, let me say, it looks better with the actual logos. With just the round things, it was a little bit open for
I'm listening.
Interpretation.
But
with the Sasquatches inside and the wording, chef's kiss.
So, there's a lot of work put into this, but
it looks really good. It does.
Well, thank you. But what I was trying to hide is the neon, and maybe I'll get to.
Wow, I love the neon.
Well, because it comes off of a square picture. I'm trying to put it on a round hole. It's got edges there I don't like, and that drives me crazy.
What edges?
I had found between the two there you can see it's square on one side because that's it comes straight off of another image.
Oh, I see.
And so I was trying to get rid of that, and I was like, man, I found this neon mushroom cloud, and that describes our show that we just we're scorched earth on some things. Yeah. And of course I put the monster behind the city of Knoxville, which the Knoxville was a total separate picture, and so was the monster. And then I made the sun sphere yellow. It was black before. I was like, I don't like that. I want it black. I want it yellow. So yeah, I worked on it, and while I was working on it and trying to fix my computer, we think we may have diagnosed the mic clipping problem. we think that the computer is getting too hot and that it's causing the CPU to back up, which is causing the clipping. So we are running some tests right during the show. Right now it's actually cooler than it had been earlier when it was running wide open by itself. And so it's either do what? Hold on, I don't have the chats turned on.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, thanks, Warren. Appreciate that. And we're currently using about 60% of my CPU, which I'm not really clear what that means, but apparently that means a lot. So I don't know.
I see Warren and Wendell. And I don't know where Lonnie went.
Lonnie probably said, "Get me the hell out of here." There's a
bunch of perverts up in there.
Phone lines open if you want to call. Our first guest, I've forgotten her name, but it doesn't matter. She's not backstage. So our first guest is apparently either running behind or is not here. Yeah. Well, I got to thinking about this the first of the week. I actually emailed her Sunday. I got to thinking about this. She lives in Hawaii, so I'm not sure there for us.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering, but she never replied because I emailed her directly and I emailed her agent and I said, "Hey, I want to make sure we're clear on the time."
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Right now in Hawaii, in Honolulu, it's 4:15 today. So it would have been super early. So yeah, so it would have been 4 o'clock her time. So I'm hoping that at 8 o'clock her time, she doesn't show up. Yes, we've got a something 212 coming. Then the kick dropped back and punted and said that I might need a liquid cooled one. But apparently I really overworked the computer by having 9 guests on because I didn't realize that it's treating each separate camera and it's separating their audio and video. So we really stressed it on that one show. So we won't do that for a while.
Yep.
Yes, I probably did. Like all the women in my life, Wendell, I've probably ran her away.
That was a lot. That was the most people we've ever had, I think.
Yeah, I won't do that again. So yeah, make a liquid. Yeah, that's the way the show's going. That's the way everything's going.
But it's really not.
No, it's not. We're, like I said, we're growing. And I'm happy we're growing. I'm a bit nervous about it, but it is what it is.
Look at it this way. If they don't lock us in one place, they're going to lock us in another place.
Yeah. Well, San Francisco asked for us.
Oh, if they ask for us, well then, hey.
So I was like blown away because apparently she showed some of the YouTube shows to whomever, and they're like, "Yeah, we want that." I wasn't clear on which show or both.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they sent San Francisco sent me the contract, I finally agreed and sent it back to them, and they messaged me and they said, "Well, aren't you going to let us have both shows?" I'm like,
okay.
I thought that's what I was doing. And they're like, "We only have one contract, so you got to sign another contract now." I'm like, "Okay, just send it to me. Let's get it to my legal department." So, and speaking of my legal department, my former employer.
Oh no!
It's a cat and mouse game. I had to send a letter to the city attorney and the county DA. The beginning of my letter stated, the definition of harassment by Black's law is copy and pasted. Mm-hmm. The definition as recognized by the Supreme Court on harassment, which is found at legal.com, is defined as, I come to you yet again with a problem. I am 4 years post-employment with you, and you're still playing with me.
Yeah.
Here's some advice. Stop. because I'm ready to pull the hair. I got a hair trigger on a multi-million-dollar lawsuit, and I'm just.
Yeah, you definitely
they,
need to.
they would not sign a federal form, which they're required to sign
Hmm.
for my student loans. And they
Why
refused.
wouldn't they?
I don't know. That was the question the city attorney apparently asked, because I got an email pretty quickly.
Good.
And I also have my congressman working on it, so I got her on it. I told her I'd vote for her twice. And then, are you going to the land between the lakes? I had actually talked to Bobby about that, and I want to get up there, but I have not got a time scheduled. I'm going to be in Florida at the end of next month, so. Although, I don't know. I'll be near Eglin, and there's some parks and stuff around there, so I might get out and poke around. But I won't be staying in the woods. But I will get out and poke around, see if I see any swamp apes down there. I think they're further down though, towards like Miami. So, yeah, Land Between the Lakes is on my to-do list. A lot of people are afraid to go to Land Between the Lakes.
Are you afraid?
I mean, no, not really. April 568. Is that code for something? Is a bomb going to launch now or something? I don't know what that means.
5th, 6th, and 8th.
Oh, I thought he was giving me his birthday, April 5th. Okay. April 5th, 6th, and 8th. Is there a Bigfoot conference going on up there? Probably up there would be Dogman. I thought about trying to do the Mothman one, just because. So I thought about it, but I don't really know much about Mothman. And someone invited me to Frogman.
Frogman? To speak?
To speak. And I'm like, I think you got the wrong number. You got wrong number.
You got wrong number. Me, Frogman.
I don't know who Frogman is. So, but I'm sure I can speak about it. I'll look up Wikipedia.
But don't do just Wikipedia.
I'm not sure what Frogman is. Upper Michigan is on yours. It's cold up there.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't realize that we had one, but when you go down to the Keys, there's a point at the end of Route 1 where you can go, and it's the furthest southernmost portion of the United States.
Oh.
I did not realize that there is a same marker up on one of the Great Lakes in Michigan, where it's the furthest northern portion of the United States. So that might be on my bucket list.
Oh, yeah, that'd be cool.
With around 100 people, I think you'll be safe. That's the podcasters meet and greet. Oh, up in Land Between the Lakes. It's funny. I haven't been invited to that. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, he just invited you.
Well, I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know what I got going on in April. I don't know what I got going on next week.
No,
I've had to make a spreadsheet to keep up with this schedule.
See, I told you a calendar wouldn't work.
Well,
I told Bobby a calendar on the phone wouldn't work. I have to have something I can look at.
Well, you could pull the calendar up on your big computer too, but
no, I need something I can write on.
Well, so far I just created a spreadsheet, and I've gotten the most important thing that is I've gotten the due dates. Beyond the
box. Oh, that's Brenda.
Do you know podcast? No, I'm not familiar with Woodwalker's podcast. That's actually a new name. I have not heard that name. I've heard Wood Knocker. No, I haven't heard of that one. And that was the thing about the Bigfoot Dogman thing. Mm-hmm. I love all the cryptids to death, but look at how many podcasts there are.
Yeah.
why I want to be different. I want to have, the guest that comes on today. She was involved in an automobile accident and she died. She was brought back to life by a paramedic and she remembers the whole thing.
See, that's so interesting to me.
Yeah, yeah. And
I would
then
love to talk with her.
she talked about how on the other side of the veil, the things that were there and what she learned.
Mhm.
Um, she could see her own body. She could see him doing CPR on her.
Mhm.
She saw the whole thing. She literally was brought back from uh, the Grim Reaper, and
Yeah.
how it's changed her life. And it was really cool. Her story is really cool. Aside from the whole near death experience, there were a lot of similarities in things I've experienced. So I
Oh.
was really looking forward to talking to her about that, because one of the emails I had with her while I was reading the book, I said, geez, if I didn't know better, I'd swear you were taking portions of my life.
Yeah.
Spencer on that podcast is renting a whole campground. Well, if you know Spencer, get Spencer in touch with me. I will go as long as there's not one other show up there. If that other show's there, I will not be anywhere near it. We'll keep that off the air window. But yeah, so she had this great experience where, well, I should say great, but
Yeah, I know what you mean.
yeah. And then she's been obviously reliving the PTSD from it,
Yeah.
which was where I related the most. And it's just a really good story. So I'm sad that she's not here. I'm hoping she's okay, because she's usually pretty cool. Was pretty quick to answer my emails.
Yeah.
So
Well, maybe maybe we can reschedule with her if she had something go wrong or
mhm. I'm hoping to. Yeah, because it's a
emergency of
great
some
book.
sort. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great book, and of course our second author tonight, J.M. Adams.
Oh, yes.
It's a great book. Um, it's a cross between current events and our next election. It's kind of he's done a great.
Excuse me.
He's done a great historical alternate history historical novel. Is really what it is.
Is it sorry, I had to get my footstool. Is it uh like if Trump had a second term, or is it something along those lines?
It's a president who won an election that was an outsider. He had 4 rough years, and then he lost the election. He was cheated. The election was stolen.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's another guy that comes in. I'm not clear. I think it was only for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then the president who won, like it would be like if Trump won this one in
Right.
2028, it's when he's going to keep power and have another January 6th, almost to a civil war.
Oh my, that's not
Well,
good.
actually, I would call it a civil war. So it's an alternate history. So yeah, it's Andy says he got a call about a guy had a gun down in front of his pants and got his. Well, I mean,
That's bad.
you gotta take care of the boys.
Shouldn't
So
have put it
yeah,
on.
it's a great book, and he is a well-known journalist. He has been around the world. He has been in places just like last week with Steve, for the Voice of
Mhm.
America.
What's his
He's
name? The author's name? I'm so sorry.
J.M. Adams. I believe he worked for NBC, but he's been around the world. He's been into all the wars. He's been to places I could only dream of going,
Yeah.
and seeing things that I could only dream of seeing. So I'm curious, aside from talking about his book, some of his stories. So
Yeah.
I mean, you don't go to do those things. I mean, I went to Kandahar and was there once for 8 hours maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a wild experience just in the 8 hours, so
Yeah, I think you told me about that.
yeah, yeah. So
Pretty weird.
his daughter is running in 2028. Um, well, I not in this book. She's not, but he lost in 2028. The Democrats win according to this novel. So, but I assume you mean Ivanka is right. Is that her name? The daughter, or
Ivanka.
is his daughter? His
Ivanka.
daughter is Ivanka. Or he's got two daughters though, doesn't he?
He does, but I'm sure she's talking about Ivanka. Because
Okay,
Tiffany really doesn't have any. I
this
don't think she has
Ivanka's
any
the
aspirations
tall
for.
blonde one, right?
Yeah, both of them are blonde,
She's
but
But I'm okay. I guess I'm thinking of one that's always in the spotlight, or not spotlight, but she's always talking for him.
that's Ivanka.
Yeah, yeah. No, I have not seen the new trailer for Civil War. I understand that it's going to be released to home theater probably pretty quick. So, but it's gotten some great reviews.
Is it set in the modern
Yes,
day? Okay.
yes, yeah. It, a movie that they really screwed up was oh gosh, now I can't think of the name of it.
Yeah.
Where it was the kids helped fight back and when the Russians invaded. That movie that we had in the 80s. God, and they remade
Red
it.
Dawn.
Red Dawn, yeah. And then when they made Red Dawn 2, it was horrible. So
Yeah, the remake was bad. You say
yeah, yeah. They
most
could
of
have
the
done
remakes
so
are.
much better. I know. Now it's a shame. They should just give them to the Marvel universe.
Yeah. I don't think
So
I've
yeah.
seen a remake that I've liked better out of anything they've made again.
Yeah, I'd be struggling to agree with you. I don't think I have either. So
And they're still doing it. They're still remaking stuff. I don't know why.
I guess they think we're gonna watch it. So
I guess they do. Bring it about for another generation, but they just ought to show the classic
we'll
ones.
see. And that's we talked about this on the Misfits.
Yeah.
That's the thing. They can't make the 80s movies
No.
the way that they were today.
No, they
No
can't.
way.
They have
Society
to
would
change.
lose a nut.
Then they have
Pat,
to change them and make all the diversity uh, things
yeah.
and politically correct and it's not the same.
Well, I got a news flash from Patrick Humphrey. Emergency. Biden to sign executive order. It's over.
What's
Okay.
over?
I don't know.
Oh no, what's over?
I
The
don't
United
know.
States?
Warning. The Russians are on the way.
Oh
They're
no.
coming to get us.
Oh no.
We all need to laugh.
There you go. Oh God. But yeah, they couldn't make them today the way that they did before. Because well, I mean, what was the comedian Kevin Hart said it. Comedy is dead. Comedy has died. If I make fun of you and somebody tunes in and sees this, not knowing you and I are best friends,
Right.
they're going to think I'm a whatever it's called, gynophobe or whatever. And and then it's it's going to be
That's what you're trying to think of.
I have not massaged anything of yours, Dina.
I know.
It's not for the lack of trying, for God's sake.
This is definitely illegal.
But so they can't because of that. You got too many rules, too many. So well, our boss is here, so I guess we better talk nice about him now. Shout out to Jurg's Radio.
Yeah.
So. That little station in Tampa that could. So
and we
but
have.
he's grown. He's going to be taken off quick.
I know.
And you are right in the driver's seat. Your career could go with him or me. So I'd go with him.
Stay with both of you.
He has money.
Heck.
I don't have nothing. Oh, yeah, that's what we should
You've
auction
got
up.
me. You've got me.
Well, yeah, but then you leave me 2 days a week, so and he cheats on me too, so but yeah, so I don't know. Today's just been a bad day. Once I found out about that computer problem, and then other
But
things
is it
happened.
actually a problem?
Yeah, if it melts, it's a big problem. It's a real
Well, yeah,
big
if it
problem.
melts. How much is those water coolers aren't that much, are they?
No, that's not that bad. I just gotta get one and get it in, and I don't know how to put it in, so I gotta have somebody do it.
It's not hard.
How do you know? You have to reset your computer every day.
Just the driver. It's just I don't know why it's doing that.
No. This is something you have to take it apart and bolt in and hook stuff to it.
Yeah, but it's hey, JT had one. If he could do it, you can.
I'm not even commenting on that. So I got to get that. So that'll probably be, well, depending on which one they settle on, it should come in Monday. So hopefully they'll take the computer apart and get it all back together. If worse comes to worse, I'll boot up the laptop and we'll run from that.
Yeah. Actually,
won't be that big a deal, really.
I don't think he ever put his on. He sold it to somebody.
Now, where's he? Why isn't he in our chat? Him and Sonya both.
They're still in Florida.
Yeah, they're still in Miami. Yeah. When that comes, and then I think we're gonna upgrade the RAM too. So I think I'm gonna. Yeah, because right now I'm at 48% memory, 70% CPU, and what's the are we near melting yet? And it's 91.3 Celsius. A maximum it should get is 95.
You may just need. How long have you had your computer?
It's not that old.
Like how old?
Kyle's only been in Vermont for a year, so it's coming up on 2 years, so it's right at 2 years, if that.
You may just need to add some more.
Well, see, the thing was, I designed this for photo editing at the time.
Yeah. So
you need TV. Yeah.
You need more stuff added to it, probably.
Yeah, I mean, I've got 4 hard drives, and they're each like 2 terabytes or something. I don't know if that's even right, but yes, I'm looking at my chat. I see my chat. I just I'm not putting every comment up there.
What you should have done is taken it up there with you when you went to Vermont and had Kyle build you another one.
Well, where am I going to get parts up there? Are you kidding?
Well, I don't know. He's probably got spare laying around.
He works for the government. They don't got any spare parts laying around.
Oh, please.
No. He works for the government out of his home. I'm trying to figure this out. So I think he's a secret squirrel. I asked him, I said, so what is it you do? And he told me, he goes, I don't really know. Like, well, how do you do it? He goes, I had 60 hours last week. I'm like, but you don't know what you did? He goes, didn't really do anything. And I'm like, yeah, it's government worker. It's under Homeland. I know that. So
he's doing something.
He's secret squirreling. I can do everything from home now. So
yeah.
I mean, look, we had a president that won the election from a basement where they just had a picture of him doing this. So yeah.
Yeah. They stood him inside of hula hoops and everything.
Hula hoops?
Hula hoops on the ground. Do you remember that?
No.
Oh my goodness.
Biden was doing hula hoops?
No, he did not do hula hoops. They stood him inside hula hoops and put people 6 feet away inside other hula hoops.
Oh, during COVID.
In the backyard, yeah.
In the backyard, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
they would be in their little bubbles of hula hoop space 6 feet away.
Yeah, he
Outside in the
says here at
backyard.
33 and 40. Yeah, I'm currently at, hold on, I'll pull it up here. I'm currently at 91.3 Celsius. So yeah, I'm pushing it. I'm pushing it bad. So,
Because I'm so hot.
and well, I didn't realize that was a problem. Yes, it's you. You're melting my computer. So I don't even know what the conversion to 93 Celsius is. But Kyle said if I smelled smoke to call 911. So
Yeah. Toss it out the window.
he's like, you got it how hot? I'm like, I don't know. No. Yeah. So if you start hearing me clip, let me know. I need to screenshot
You're
it.
still popping. I mean, you're popping.
But I don't get this. It's going to drive me crazy.
Yeah.
Well,
every time.
I don't know that 93 is enough to make it pop, but I don't know. I think we'll get to the RAM too, because I think I've only got 32, maybe. Hell, I don't know.
You definitely need more RAM.
But I'm only using 48% of it. 62% of my CPU. And
Ross said that's 203 degrees Fahrenheit.
well, that's pretty hot then. So yeah.
You're damn hot.
Yeah. I might have already baked the inside of it, which is going to be another problem.
That could be the reason for the popping.
Would be. I have pushed the computer to its max, so It's funny. It doesn't. I mean, if you remember, I always tell you after the show, it's so damn hot in here.
Yeah, it's probably just
I thought it was the monitors and the lights and not having a fan on,
heating your room up.
But all three of the lights are LED, so they don't put on the monitor. One of them is LED, the other one's the old RGB, which I need to replace it, but it still works. And it's only over there for my side programs, not my main stuff. So it ain't broke. So 203 degrees, apparently that's bad. So who knew? So yeah, I'll get that replaced. I got to get all that replaced because I heard what show did I hear? Was it the Fairfax show? I heard one of the shows and I was just horribly disappointed with my audio. I'm a perfectionist anyhow, but it might have been Fairfax. I can't remember which show it was, so I don't want to send it out to Denver and California, markets I know that have never heard me, at least in Virginia and stuff. I've got friends who've heard it, and of course Metro Atlanta, I have friends that have heard the show. So I'm going somewhere totally strange, so I want to make sure I sound good. What's funny was they said they liked my accent. I don't think I have an accent, so
yeah, we all have accents.
Well, I know when I would fly into Michigan, the nurses would be like, just say something. I'm like,
yeah.
what? I'm like, hey, baby.
even though we think our accents are some, when I worked at 911, people would say I didn't sound. People who called in would say I didn't sound like I was from Tennessee because I would use my professional voice. But on here, I don't try to. But they would say, you don't sound like you're from Tennessee at all.
Well, see, my kids say that I sound like I'm putting on a fake voice right now. I don't see it.
I don't.
But
I don't see it.
Now, when I go WDJY, when I do that,
that's fake.
Messing with them, but
yeah.
It's kind of hard. I
know. I kind of
YERGZ.
YERGZ. But I know from other people, they can catch, especially when we get talking fast or some of our vernacular that we leave words out. They can tell we have accents.
I can tell you the very first time I used the word used to could.
Oh, man. Where was
was on
that?
call. There was a body at the bottom of the pool.
Oh,
And
no.
we're standing there looking around, and I turned around and I said, I used to could dive in there and save him. Now I'm waiting on the professionals. So
Oh,
everybody
no.
looked at me. I'm like, what? And they're like, what you just said? And there's a guy laying at the bottom of the pool. I mean, he was dead, but there's a guy laying at the bottom of the pool, and everybody's looking at me going like, what did you just say? And I'm like, I don't know.
What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about.
He used to could be breathing,
Yeah, he used to
but he
could have been
wasn't very
breathing,
good at
but he
swimming.
ain't now.
I got a story that goes with that, but it is not made for radio.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he used to could swim. He can't no more. So
Lord. We could tell stories. We could tell funny 911 stories. Oh my gosh, Bonnie, that would be horrible.
you call 911?
Sometimes it would be
No,
like
I'm
you were
cat
talking.
ready.
Sometimes it would be like you were talking to oh.
Yeah. Luckily, this hour will not be out for FM broadcast unless I'm really desperate.
One of my ladies up there got a call from somebody out in the east part of Knoxville. And they said, he said, lady, you need to send the police out here to get these cockatoos.
Excuse me?
You need to send the police out here to get these cockatoos. And she said, well, what are they doing? He said, they're just sitting here on the street, and I'm tired of them.
Well,
Well, how long have they been out there? And he said, I don't know. They've been out here for a day or two. And she said, well, they look like it. He said, well, they're white. Just sitting out here. And there was more to the story, but I'm just trying to get to the main part. She said, well, do you know who they belong to? He said, lady, I don't know. She asked, well, can they fly? Can they fly or anything? And he said, what are you talking about? And she said, can the cockatoos fly? And he said, I don't know what you're talking about. She said, the birds. He said, birds? He said, prostitutes, ma'am, prostitutes. She said, oh, I thought you said cockatoos. That was out near the zoo. And they started laughing.
wow. I've never heard a prostitute called a cockatoo. Ugh.
No,
Thought
she
that was
heard
the
cockatoos in her ear. But it was
Is it the coupon where you get half off cockatoo? I don't know.
She heard
Would it be a
cockatoos,
Or would that be a
and
two
the
for
guy
one?
was talking prostitutes. So I was like, oh my gosh.
Oh,
I
that's
was
fun.
trying to figure out how exactly to tell that story without being.
I don't know how the Wendell knows this, but he knows cockatoos can talk. So.
Yes, they can talk.
Is that that's the one that was with Beretta, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Beretta's bird, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And get high.
Oh, okay.
Well, we all like to get high every now and then. Some more than others. So.
We've had some communities.
That's what I like. Actually, I had one before the show. It's not working, but I had one before the show.
Yeah, you're still moving kind of slow there, Mr.
And we still haven't got Saturday show lined up yet.
Hey,
I'm
what
gonna be
is the date? I mean, what is today? Wednesday? We'll get it. We'll have it by tomorrow.
So, okay, I'm gonna hold you to that.
All right.
So, I'm be stressing on that. Squirrel. So
Stop it.
Oh, and we will be inviting some of our guests back. Actually, let me rephrase that. We'll be inviting all of our guests back at different times.
Yeah, that would be probably a better idea for right now.
Especially while my computer's running at 500 degrees.
Yes. Yes.
So
Your hell computer.
Yeah. Well, it is glowing red, so. Do I need an organic podcast promotion? Is that something I can smoke, Mist Milla and Kutan? So,
how much does it cost?
I don't know. I think
because I got high.
Miss Milla Katatoon. If you'd been paying attention to my show, you'd know that I only have 4 viewers right now, and this is the maximum I ever get.
That's a lie.
So, Miss Milla Kakatoon, if you
Quit
can
making fun.
That's Mist MST Milla Kakatoon.
Oh, sorry.
I'm not making fun.
I think it's Millie Katoon. Sorry.
Well, then she needs to write Millie.
It's Mili, Millie.
Well, what's okay? Is Mist from Mistress? Is she offering something?
I don't know.
Well, she did offer me an organic. That means an all natural promotion.
Organic, yes.
So maybe she is
natural promotion.
The DOT frowns on that. Yes, they do.
Yeah.
You say weed and Warren shows up. There's a shocker. So. Mistress Millie Cockatoon offered me a cockatoo promotion. I think that's 2 for 1. I'm not sure. It's organic. So, Candace, Kentucky is calling me. This is either bad or really good.
Sorry.
Good evening. You are on the Paranormal Guys live. How are you?
How are you doing tonight, Glenn?
Doing really good.
That's good.
That's good. So what's going on tonight?
Oh, not a whole lot. About to be on a long road trip.
Okay. So you're headed back to Knoxville?
I am.
Good.
Yeah.
See, man,
I was tuned in and I was listening and I heard the song start playing and I was like, oh, this is my cue.
Well, yeah, Warren piped in there too. So
yeah, he did.
How about that? I play that one song and I get both of them. Next, Todd. Todd, where are you, Todd? We miss you, Todd.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, where is Todd at? Not there tonight.
I haven't seen Todd in a while. I hope he's well. So, all right, man. Well, thanks for calling. You're going to be headed back tonight.
I'm going to be starting that direction tonight. Yeah, in just a little bit, very shortly.
Okay.
And be on the road, and I'll be home at least a day or two. Depends on stops and stuff and sleep.
Be home for Christmas. Okay. Well, be careful.
Yeah, be home for that, I hope.
Yeah, I hope so.
Be careful, and we will talk to you soon.
All right. We'll see you later.
All right, man.
See ya.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night.
Well, see, all I have to do is maybe that's how I can get my co-host to show up. Just play this, and then I'll show up. Maybe that's the key. I got Mistress Cockatoo, whatever the hell it is. So,
Millie.
all right,
Millie.
Well, she can send me a message. All right, well, now let's do a real show here because I'm noticing backstage that we have a guest.
Oh, yeah.
And it's one that we actually scheduled on the show. So that's we're going in the right direction.
Yes.
So Mr. Adams has written a book. In fact, By a high cockatoo. My God. Second term, wrong side. Second term is his most recent novel, and I have not made it all the way through. It's not for the lack of me not wanting to keep it in my hand. It's for the lack of people telling me my computer's melting and all kinds of other things. I haven't finished it yet, but it's a great book so far. So let's bring him forward. Plus, he's got lots of experience. Hello there. How are you, sir?
I'm fine. Thank you for having me.
Hello.
Oh, glad you're here. This is Dina, my co-host.
Hi.
Good evening.
Contrary to popular opinion, she is not high.
Me you. I am not. I just have squinty eyes. Naturally.
It's been an incredibly off night. The first guest didn't show up, and then the computer is about to catch on fire, apparently, according to my technical support people. So that's been a great night. Your book, sir.
Yes.
It is great. I have made it through, I want to say chapter 18, something like that. I can't put it down, but my computer catching on fire and other things have sidetracked me a little bit, so I haven't finished it. Wow. This is not your first book, though. This is your first novel, right?
This is my debut novel. This is my first one.
Okay.
But you had done other books, because I know as a journalist you'd done some work, hadn't you?
Yeah, I was a journalist for 15 years, but this is my first novel. My second one is about 50% complete.
Nice.
But this is the first. This is the debut, and my protagonist is taking center stage once again in the new book. So I'm knee deep or hip deep in that. So
I can only imagine. Wow. All right. So I'll let you lay out the book, because I mean, you can give spoilers if you want, but I haven't made it all the way through. I'm like I said, I think I'm like chapter 18 is where I stopped last night. It's almost like you just ripped headlines from today and tomorrow and put them together.
Well, to tell the truth, it's very hard to keep the fiction ahead of the unfolding reality. I'm finding that not only with that book, but with the new book. Every time I come up with a concept, some politician says, "Hey, why don't we do this or do that?" And I'm like, wait, that's not supposed to really happen. That's
kind of uncanny.
I gotta ask, you never wrote for The Simpsons by any chance, did you?
No, but I'm ready. But as far as the book goes, second term, I guess I drew my inspiration from, well, first let's just say, do you both know Carrie from Homeland on Showtime?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I haven't watched it, but go ahead.
Okay. Well, Carrie is an undercover operative for the CIA.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought Carrie, all the female protagonists I keep reading, because I'm a very big reader of female protagonists, they always have some dark issue, or they have a mental health issue. And I thought, what if we just have a very proficient woman who's a very proficient marks person? What if she was an undercover agent, and this was with the DIA, the Defense Intelligence Agency, which is clandestine services. But I kind of used her and Elmore Leonard, the code of the Old West, and I crushed them together and came up with Cora Walker.
Cool.
And it starts off with Cora in Benghazi. And Benghazi's been obviously it was a hot topic for years and years. And Cora goes to Benghazi because she was undercover in Derna, which is also in Libya. She's undercover. She discovers a plot against the ambassador, rushes to Benghazi to help thwart the attack on the ambassador. And I won't tell you whether or not she's successful, but it does mirror, as you said, current and past events. But from there, we go from Benghazi, we just fast forward to 2028. And there's another contentious election. And there is a new president who doesn't particularly care for the results of the election. And so he's doing everything he can to overturn the election. And the idea is that there's a lot more, it's a lot more organized, this attempt to stop the election. And she is, at this time, instead of an undercover operative, she is a communications director for the Speaker of the House. So she has to kind of abandon those skills and use her skills of being a covert agent for so many years to smuggle the Speaker out of the House and try and stop it, and try to stop the new president from illegally taking power.
It's interesting.
It's very well crafted. It's very well crafted. The only part where I'll say you had a got me moment was at the very beginning. I didn't realize it was a female until after the first kill. And I should have known it. I read the cover, but it was the way it was written. And then it dawned on me. I was like, oh, that's right. Because it was written like it was a big, bulky guy in the first, maybe chapter, first little bit. And then after the first kill, with her comments to what she said in the Cadillac, or the big black car, I was like, that's right.
Right. Well, I was dropping little breadcrumbs. Like I was talking about her doing the husky man walk.
Oh.
Since it's in first person, if you're doing your husky man walk, obviously, if you're a big husky man, you're doing a husky man walk and you wouldn't say that. But if you're a female and you're doing a husky man walk, so there was breadcrumbs along the way. I didn't necessarily hide her gender from anybody, but when people first read the book, they're like, well, you don't say you're a female. And I'm like, well, it's written in first person. Like I don't walk around saying I'm a man. I'm a man.
Right.
I know I'm a man. So I don't need to have that inner dialogue telling me that I'm a man or a woman or whatever else in this day and age.
Yeah.
By no means of complaining, because it kind of was like a hook to me to catch me, because I was like, and then from there on, it was just steamroll ahead. Excuse me. But yeah, it's, like I said, it's almost like you're pulling headlines from the past, present, and you're reading the future, like Matt Groening or something. And I think it's his name from The Simpsons. And, and doing it, I was like, man, it's, so would you classify this, and I hate to really use this term, but it's like an alternate history book, or?
Well, I was told by the people that picked up, there was a couple of publishers that vied for the book, and they said it was predictive fiction. So
Okay.
It's I've heard it called predictive fiction. I've heard it called political fiction. I've heard it called women's fiction. So, and even literary fiction, which I won. The books won 5 awards. The first award was for literary fiction. So it's all over the place. I don't know. I didn't set out to write in one specific genre. I just had a story to tell. I knew where I wanted the story to go. And honestly, during the writing process, I got surprised a few times because I had plotted out or outlined what I was going to do. But when it came time to do it, some of my characters were resistant. And it's very strange as a writer when your characters are telling you what to do. I'm like, wait, I'm the author. And my characters are like, yeah, but I wouldn't do that. So
I bet that's like very odd.
well, you know what? It is very odd. And there's a section in the book where, and I don't want to give too much away, but I know exactly what course of action she's going to take. I mean, literally been in the outline since day one.
Yeah.
And as she was about to do it, I was like, I would do that.
Yeah. She wouldn't do that.
And she didn't. And I was very disappointed in her. I was like, you can do that.
Yeah. That's very very cool.
So, do you write an outline beforehand, or So some of the authors I've interviewed will do the outline. Others will have almost like an encyclopedic of, character A, B, C, D, E, and then they kind of mesh them all together. And then I met one lady who banged out a 400-page novel in like 3 hours because it all just flowed.
Right.
And so, what is your writing style on that?
So I'm of my belief is that an outline is a living, breathing document. And so regardless of how you have crafted your story beforehand, you have to let, for continuity's sake and for reality's sake, you have to let the story do what it wants to do. So I probably for that novel wrote 15 variations of the same outline. But the actual conclusion of the book, I didn't know. I knew the ultimate outcome, but I wasn't sure how to get there. And I remember I woke up one April night. It was 11:30 at night. My wife's like, "Where are you going?" And I'm like, "I know the ending. I know the ending." I wrote down 42 points, and that was the ending. And it took me maybe another 3 or 4 weeks to finish the novel.
So all total, how long did it take you to put the novel together?
About 15 months.
Okay.
I used Thriller Fest, which is a thrillers conference that's held in New York City. I used that as because I'm a journalist, I am very deadline oriented. And so I said, okay, my deadline is I have to have this finished by Thriller Fest. And all of a sudden I got to April and I was like, you're 12 chapters short. And so during the month of April, I banged out those 12 chapters. So the journalism experience helps with the writing, but as far as the self-imposed deadlines, it's like the kid that stays up all night to do his final.
Yeah.
Last week we had Steve. Oh gosh, what's his last name? He's the chief White House correspondent for the Voice of America, and he's written a book out that's behind the White House curtain, and it's a great book. I mean, of course, obviously, it's from mostly it's his experiences and what's going on. And I asked him how long it took him to put it together, and he's like, "Well, it's my life." So that's a good point because it really did. He starts telling the story from what got him into journalism and how he got to where he is today. So I was like, that's a good answer. I like that. So it's my life. So.
Yeah, mine was, I had actually been working on a novel before January 6th. I had this great idea that immigrants are going to be smuggled north in some kind of underground railroad. Never imagining that they would just start busing immigrants all over the country. But at that point, when I was writing the Underground Railroad novel, that had not come to pass yet. But when January 6th happened, I realized that Cora Walker, who was the protagonist in Second Term, I realized that she had to have a hand in the next iteration of what January 6th might bring, what January 6th, 2029 might bring.
Okay. So Cora, was she in your other book too about the?
Yeah, she was in the immigration book, and the outline had been crafted, and I was using the Underground Railroad stopped in Lambertville, New Jersey, and I spent few days there trying to scout out where you could hide immigrants, and they had some underground passages, and it's right there in the Delaware River. And I had the whole thing scoped out, but when January 6th happened, I realized that, I watched it happen. And as I was watching it, I watched about 6 hours of footage initially. And then what I didn't realize is I had written 8 chapters in January, which is, of course, the middle of the book. Benghazi came much later. So I wrote the middle, then I wrote the beginning, then I wrote the end.
Okay. Now, as a journalist, you weren't on the ground, though, at January 6th, though, were you?
No. but I had spent a lot of time in federal court, criminal court, and reporting all over the country on federal cases. And also I was embedded with the Air Force in Kuwait at Ali Al Salim, right on the Iraqi border, the tip of the spear, as they called it. And right after 9/11, I was sent out to sea with the United States Navy, the USS George Washington Carrier Battle Group that was patrolling the skies of Manhattan right after 9/11. So all of those experiences really helped me craft the Middle Eastern section of my book. Although I've never been to Benghazi, a lot of anybody who reads the book is like, this sounds more like Baghdad than Benghazi, and they'd be correct. Because I've not been to Benghazi, but I have been to Baghdad.
Okay.
I've made it. I was in Kuwait and Kandahar as a civilian paramedic, so those are the only two. Well, I've been in Qatar and Saudi, but as far as hot zones, I guess Kandahar was probably it. When we flew in on our Learjet, at every different lowering altitude, we had a different type of aircraft on each side of our wings. So that was when I realized, ruh-roh, I'm not turning on the lights and sirens anymore. There's something a little different with this call.
Right. When I initially landed in Al Jaber, which is about 17 miles out of Kuwait City, and I was embedded with a Black Hawk unit, or actually not Black Hawk, I'm sorry, Pave Hawks. And so I was embedded with the PJs, and they are the guys that go out and rescue pilots that have been shot down, people who have been stranded, things of that nature. Because I was there when they were enforcing the no-fly zone over Iraq.
Okay. Yeah, those are the special forces.
Yeah, I mean, those guys are amazing. And, we did brownout landings, and I get a little bit airsick. And so I would get sick every time we went up, and they'd be like, do you want us to put you down? I'm like, I'm fine. I'd be shooting with one hand and throwing up in the bag with the other.
Yeah, I probably would have too, but I would have loved this.
Yeah.
I read for some, I don't know, wings or some certification that they get, they halo jump it's off the coast of Miami, into the water down towards the Keys, and they have to swim X miles to get back to the base, and they have to run. Yeah, there's a whole lot to getting whatever the certification is.
Right.
And this guy, the reason I found out about the story, because when he haloed immediately into the ocean, and he was in a school of jellyfish.
Oh, man.
He was having anaphylactic reaction, and there was no one he could call. And he had, this is how I read about it on the medical part. He still had to complete the swim. He made it to shore, and somebody found him, and they thought that he had been bitten by animals. I mean, he'd been stung, and they called 911. And the military didn't want them to take him. They were like, "No, he needs to complete this." And they're like,
"Oh my gosh,
he's barely breathing." So.
Yeah, those guys were hardcore, and a lot of them. I was in Tallahassee, and these guys were all out of Moody Air Force Base, which is in Valdosta, Georgia. Mm-hmm. And those are the guys that I were embedded with. And after I spent time with them, I got to go with the guys in the F-16s that were bombing the Iraqi radar sites. Every time they used their radar sites, they would fly in and knock out the radar site. And we also had a few bomb scares, people coming up to the gate. Mm-hmm. A lot of the training we did, getting that bomb gear on. I mean, it was, when I was there, the average temperature was probably about 122 degrees. And you put that bomb suit on and and the chem suit, it's like being a microwave, like pop pot.
Can imagine.
Yeah.
Wow.
They actually had drink sergeants. And so what would happen is the drink sergeant would come to you every hour with a bottle of water that was 44 ounces, and you had to drink it. And that sounds like a lot of water, but in the desert, you drink it like a Dixie cup.
Yeah.
and it's gone. Like in 6 weeks, I don't think I peed at all. Like you just don't.
Wow.
But it was like Kuwait City. I don't know if it is anymore, but at the time was the hottest hottest major city in the world. It was averaging 132 degrees a day.
That's crazy.
That time in the desert. But I'll tell you what, I was in a tent city in Al Jaber, which was lovely because you get in there and they keep the tents like at 60 degrees.
Oh, that's awesome.
Everybody can't wait for your day to be over because you take a
Yeah.
shower and then you head right into the freezing room and you sleep. I mean, I lost, I think, almost 30 pounds while I was there.
Mm.
Not for lack of eating, just
Yeah.
that's what the desert sun does.
It's a heck of a way to, to do it. Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we landed my first night in Kuwait, it was 115 degrees, and I looked at home. It was wintertime here. It was like 28. And I'm like,
Gosh, it seems like not peeing that long would mess up your kidneys, or does it just the water just filter through?
Yeah, I think it I mean, I talked to other people and they're like, it's normal.
Oh.
You're just
Oof.
the desert is literally sucking moisture from your skin every
Yeah.
time you are outside.
Wow.
And it's it really didn't seem that coming from Valdosta, Georgia, which is basically the swamp.
Yeah. Yeah.
It seemed about as hot as Valdosta, Georgia.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
it was.
I'm in Tennessee, so.
But I mean, you really had to, the drink sergeants. I'm sure that made all the difference. The fact that I was
Yeah,
drinking,
sure.
and the other people I was with were drinking those 44 ounces. I mean, I guess that let's make sure you don't get dehydrated and keel over.
Right.
And I didn't know. I wasn't aware until I literally got back to the States and got on the scale that I'd lost the weight. I wasn't aware of it. It wasn't. I mean, most of our nights were 4 and 5 hour nights at most, but it was never. I mean, I thought it was great. I loved it.
That's pretty cool. That's just blows my mind.
well, you're exactly right about you forget to drink because it's not that you're dehydrated. It's that it's, I don't want to say baking, but it's almost evaporating it out of you so quickly. You don't get thirsty until it's almost too late.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's,
I mean, you see, I have very, very thick hair, and never in my life would I have imagined until I got there that I would get out of a long shower and literally before I could get the towel to my head, my hair was completely dry.
Wow.
And that's just the desert. I mean, it does not. It is not built for any kind of moisture, and the way you find the different ways you find to enter. One of the guys they're playing baseball with camel spiders. A camel spider is about that big, and you can't. They're like steel bugs. Like, obviously, they're not made of real steel, but they might as well be. But I mean, all of the interaction we did. I mean, Ali al-Salim was an amazing air base because that was a NATO air base. So the French were there, and the Tornadoes, and the British, and so that's where all the armed forces were together. As where Al Jaber was it was the Pavehawks and the F-16s.
Yeah.
nice. Now you need to go to Antarctica.
Yeah.
That's missing from my resume.
Yeah, that I wanted to, as a paramedic, you can volunteer for a tour duty because most of the time in the public safety section, you can volunteer to do a year. You get paid, but you have to go in a year time. And I was looking at some of the contracts, and they won't renew them after 2 years, which I always thought was odd. And then so I was asking about it, and they're like, no, you will get mad up here. And I was like angry, and they're like, no, you will like get mental up here because you're so isolated. It's either dark or daylight for so long, and especially in public safety. Thankfully, you're not doing anything. You're sitting around waiting for something to happen.
Yeah.
but I never did apply. That was on my bucket list. I wanted to. After being a flight medic, I was like, I've been on there for everything else: planes, trains, automobiles. Let's go to Antarctica. So,
Right.
well, so in all your years of journalism, what was we'll break it down into what was the coolest story you reported on, and then maybe the scariest thing that ever happened as a journalist, which I'm sure was probably over the sandbox. And we'll just go from there. What was this? We'll start with the coolest. What was the coolest thing you did?
I will say that being on a flight deck when they're doing night shots is, I mean, that was also kind of a bucket list dream come true thing. But when you're there at a mobile landing strip in, the Hudson River and the Atlantic Ocean, and the deck keeps catching on fire because there's so much oil, and they're just in jet after jet after jet after jet, flying all the sorties. To say that, I think America now has, I think we have 34 carriers in the sea at any given time. That amount of power on one ship, and it was in the middle of the carrier battle group. So there was, I don't know, because I went from ship to ship, but mostly I stayed on the carrier. But just the carrier itself, I mean, the fact that you can put 200 aircraft on a given target, and there was Super Hornets, there was Super Tomcats, there was F-14s, there's F-18s, there's AWACS, and the elevators keep coming up and bringing jets up, and then they're just taking off and taking off. It was, and also the fact that it was at night, so it was very, it was Disneyland on steroids. I mean, there was light and fire, and I had earplugs and Mickey Mouse ears on, and when the jets were getting ready to take off, like, you could actually feel your teeth moving in your head because that's how loud it was.
That's awesome.
Like, you could feel, this is a strange thing to say, but you could feel this, you could feel the sound on your eyeballs because.
Oh yeah.
And that was by far the coolest. Like, when I look back, like when I look at, and don't get me wrong, being there on the day is awesome as well, but the night shots were just, it was definitely the coolest thing. I mean, it was a terrible time in American history, obviously, but being with the Navy at that point was, and the pride that these guys had in their job, like talking to the air boss and the air captain. I remember interviewing him, and he goes, when the sun came up the next morning, the USS George Washington Carrier Battle Group was there in the Hudson River. And I was just like, you could feel it was one of those
welling up, and I could imagine that'd be a sight.
That was definitely the coolest. The scariest, I don't know if it was so much scary. It was, we were walled in by a forest fire that I was covering in southwestern Virginia. And we had fire behind us and fire on the side, and then the wind changed direction and the fire was in front of us. And as I said, it wasn't so much scary as it was. One thing you would never expect is that crickets, spiders, ladybugs, anything that creepy crawly that lives in the forest, they're all in straight lines.
Oh.
They do not fight. They do not bite. There's line after line after line, and they're all heading away from the fire.
Yeah.
And I was talking to one of the forest fighter, one of the smoke jumpers about that. And he said, yeah, they're the only smart ones because we go towards the flame. The bugs and the grubs and everybody else have the sense to get the hell away.
That's a little crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I've stepped over rats running into a burning building before down in here in Atlanta, so it's pretty close. But when you were on the aircraft carrier, my dad was on the Kennedy, the original. They're about to put another Kennedy in service.
Yep.
I don't know if they're going to use 67 again or not, but he was on the 67. He said that you could never feel it moving. He said it was just like you were just standing on land all the time. He said he never felt it moving.
I never felt it move either. It was like being on land. The sheer the very scope of it was. And I'm somebody who's I was like a carrier, like Navy junkie, like reading and watching videos and stuff. Well, there was no YouTube and things like that, back then. But I mean, I was very familiar with it. But to actually be on the carrier, I grew up around planes. I was in small private planes from the time I was 3 until the time I was 18. My father was a private pilot. He had been in the military. And but they don't supervise you that well when you're, and there was a lot going on. But I remember my photographer was getting a shot of an F-14 that was, let me get my hand in there, turning. And I saw that it's the exhaust is going to blow him right off the ship.
Yeah.
And so I horse collar him and I drag him down to the behind the jet blast deflector with me, and he trusts me. It's we're friends, but he's looks at me like, "What's this?" And then you feel like the back of our head and the back of our neck start cooking a little bit from the exhaust going over.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh,
Oh,
I could have been a s'more."
thanks. Yeah.
And he can bake, yeah.
Heck yeah.
I watched a video the other day. I don't know what got me on it. When they're out in the Caribbean, the Navy is now trying to keep them from doing they're called deck dives. When they have an off day, they'll just stop the motor and they'll just pull right up, and they will dive from the top of the carrier, which is like 10 stories or something. It's something.
Yeah, it's more than 100 feet. Because normally, I mean, the stories I heard a lot is when somebody falls over, like they're never alive. They're dead. Like the guys I was talking to on the George Washington said that they weren't familiar with somebody ever falling off and surviving from the top there.
Well, they were jumping. Jumping.
I know, I haven't heard about that.
And then the craziest part,
I'm surprised they allow it. Knowing the George Washington, well, I mean, also they were in battle stations, and that wasn't a liberty call.
Right.
This is the even nuttier part: is they have gunners who are doing nothing but watching for sharks, and they can't shoot a shark, but they could. They said if it got to a point where they were going to be attacked, that the person would shoot the person closest to the shark to distract them.
No.
And videos on YouTube. I swear to God, I was watching this last night going, these guys are nuts.
Yeah.
Because you hear they got like the 50. It's a shark. Of course, it's not doing anything because, I don't know if you know, but once the bullet gets about a foot under the water, it's but just a piece of something dropping at that point. And so it's just scaring them more than anything. But they're like, if it ever gets attacked, the unlucky one that's closest to it, we're going to shoot him. So
the sharks have something to eat.
Yeah. Distraction. You're the distraction, buddy.
I'm like, I want to be in the middle of this pack.
Yeah.
They say when the shark attacks, you don't have to be the fastest swimmer. You only have to be the second fastest swimmer.
Yeah.
Correct. If you get shot on top of that,
that just ruins your whole day.
Yes. What am I doing? So you look it up on YouTube. There's videos of them just diving right off the top. I mean, they're doing the complete dive like they teach. At Great Lakes, and that's what they call it, Great Mistakes, because they have a swimming pool in the winter. It's not heated, and if you go to Great Mistakes during the winter, it's in Chicago. The pool is outside, and they'll keep it from freezing, and you have to go up to where the top of whatever ship you're going to be assigned to and dive off.
What?
Yeah, that's why they call it Great Mistakes.
Oh my gosh.
My friend was going to be on a frigate, I think it's called. And his wasn't that bad. He says he's looking up and there's guys like 50, 60 feet above him. And he's like, I pulled this dude. Yeah. So, Well, the Navy is full of lots of heroes because imagine, have you ever been on a sub?
Only a decommissioned one in Baltimore.
Oh,
Okay. They're tiny.
ah, that would not
And
be good for me.
it still has that recirculated air. There's a
Mm.
specific smell to the sub because it doesn't take fresh air. It's always recirculating the air, and that smell never quite. I was with a friend of mine who was on a sub, and he was telling me, "You smell that?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, it never gets out of the sub." I don't even know how old the sub is there in Baltimore, but it's right there in the Inner Harbor near the National Aquarium.
Like dirty socks.
Pardon?
Like dirty socks.
That's a fair assessment.
Yeah.
Not any place of all my desires to be on aircraft carriers and to go to these exotic places. A submarine is something that I never heard the call of the sub.
Right.
I would mind doing a tour, when they're, stationed Jacksonville or somewhere where you go in, do a tour and get off. But the only one I've been is the Alabama down in Mobile. So, and it's an older one, even I think than the one in Baltimore. So it was even tinier. So, yeah, I couldn't do that. But so we're not gonna do subs. We got planes checked off. How about trains? Have you been on trains?
Actually, my very first job as a journalist, I was in Grand Island, Nebraska, and people got hit by trains every 6 months or so. And the first thing I learned from the NTSB is that if you ever see a train coming towards a car on the tracks, run in the direction the train is coming, because if you run away, you have a much better chance of being struck by the shrapnel. But I can tell you that the first train accident that I covered, people stopped on the tracks for some unbeknownst reason, and there was 3 people in the car, and by the time the train and the car stopped, they were about 1.5 miles down the tracks. And there was no visible damage to the train, but the car looked like it had had better days.
Yeah.
I never did. As a firefighter, I never did get that. You can see and hear them coming. It's,
I know. It's like, get the heck out of there.
So, I mean, I get like the tractor trailers that'll get stuck on the hump. I get that. They shouldn't have been there to start with, but pedestrians and people still in their car, if it gets stuck there, get the hell out. Call 911. But I've never figured it out.
In outside of Georgia, there was a person that got hit by a train, and they had the video, and that's when I learned that human beings are really just like a saran wrap bag full of water. Because when you get hit by a train, it's not like an impact or like getting hit by a car.
Like
you're like a water balloon. You just kind of pop.
Yeah.
We kept slowing down the video because that's what sick reporters do. We're like,
that's what sick
and you're doing
paramedics and EMTs do too. It's like, ooh, look at that.
So
that's exactly
the small town jobs are very interesting because you always have, like, one of the very first stories I did as a journalist was they had torrential rains in Grand Island, Nebraska, and they sent me out because 2 farmers had died, and they were cattle farmers, and they died because they were in the well, and methane is heavier than air. And there was so much moisture that the methane went into the well. And so the dad went down to the well and was overcome by methane. And the son went down to get his dad, not knowing why his dad didn't come back up. And he was overcome by methane.
Wow.
And here I am as a brand new reporter, and I'm trying to explain that the manure produces. So I remember I was showing shots of cow butts. To explain how the methane had collected in the field. And
oh gosh.
So the small town, my earlier jobs before I made it to Charlotte and before I did national news, Grand Island, Nebraska, and Valdosta, Georgia. Those were very interesting ports of call.
Yeah.
And when you
Oh,
pronounce something incorrectly, oh my God.
Yeah.
I said like the Vidalia onion. I called Vidalia, but it's not. It's Vidalia. And you would have thought that, I shot Robert E. Lee.
They pronounce it Velia down there?
Yeah. The station got, well,
I
in
didn't know that.
Virginia, they call, James Buchanan, the president.
Yeah.
Well, the name of the town that he's from is called Buckhannon. That's how the locals pronounce it. I'm like,
Did not know that.
And I tried to have you don't want to have the debate. I learned.
Oh no. No.
But you learn a lot of little things in every place you go. Like up in Massachusetts, Peabody is pronounced Peabody. So
okay.
Everybody has their little picadillos, if you will,
Yes.
region to region.
Yeah.
I was dispatched to a call on whatever it was, 123 Houston Avenue. And this is the GPS. And I'm going through the map book like crazy, trying to figure out where the hell it is. And I finally asked the dispatcher, I said, can you spell it? She spells it Houston. I'm like, that's Houston. That's Houston. No, it's Houston. We're arguing on the radio.
That's what they have in New York City. New York City, Houston, it's Houston Street.
Oh.
And I said Houston, and they were like, Houston? They're like, we're not talking about Texas. And I'm like, okay.
You're like,
sorry.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, that one. I was like, what's wrong with you people?
Yeah, I would never have thought Houston.
I was trying to figure out how to spell Houston when she corrected me.
Yeah.
Stupid later, but I argued at the moment. I was like, that's Houston. Say it right.
See, I would have thought Houston, like Halston.
That's why I was scouring the book, because
Yeah.
he never thought to look for Houston.
Right.
No, I needed a translator when I moved to Atlanta.
Yeah.
And I just came from up the street in Knoxville, so it wasn't like it was that
I
far.
know.
Well, that was like when I was in Valdosta, and they were explaining to me what a Yankee I was. And I said, well, I have friends in Macon, and Macon is like 100 miles north of Valdosta. And they said, oh, they're Yankees up there. It's 100 miles south of Atlanta.
Right.
Yeah, I got
No,
in
they're
trouble.
Yankees.
Dean and I worked in the Knox County 911 center together, and I got in trouble at the 911 center because they were always calling me a Yankee. I'm from Northern Virginia, Fairfax, Mount Vernon, right outside of D.C.
Yeah, you're a Yankee.
After a while, I'd only had so much of this, and finally I asked him, I said, did your all's GED not teach you where the Mason-Dixon line was, for Christ's sake? Yeah, that pissed them all off. So.
I had a similar conversation because I lived in Virginia for 10 years. I went to George Mason University, and I said to the Georgian, I said, who is on Stone Mountain? And he puffed out his chest and he said, Jeb Stuart, Robert E. Lee, and Jeff Davis. And I said, where were they born? And they cocked their head, and I'm like, Virginia.
Yeah.
They're all Virginians.
In Georgia, yeah. And believe it or not, we have terrorists that threatening here in Atlanta to blow it up.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We live in a crazy world.
We do. We really do.
That's what both of my books try and cover. I spent the second book that I'm working on right now. I spent about a month on the border towns in Piedras Negras, which is right across from Eagle Pass, which is where Shelby Park is.
Mm-hmm.
And I was traveling in and out of Juarez, walking back and forth over the bridge to El Paso. And then I was also in California in San Isidro.
Mm-hmm.
And all these places I encountered ICE agents, I encountered cartel, I encountered people looking for holes in the wall, and I got so much more than I could have expected in terms of research material.
Yeah.
I came home with just a treasure trove of information. So I'm not to the Texas segment of my book yet. We're still in Washington D.C., but I'm excited to finish up the D.C. part and get down to the border towns of Texas.
Well, if you make it to Mount Vernon, just add a Glenn character for.
Out of what?
What? I said add a Glenn character if he makes it to Mount Vernon, Virginia. Because I'm addicted, I'll have to get the book. How long ago was it you were down at the border?
So I just got back from a trip to Houston 3 weeks ago. Okay. But I spent all the time I spent in El Paso and in Eagle Pass. That was last March.
Okay. Well, let me ask this, and I haven't been there, and I'm only going on what I see on TV, and one side will make it worse than the other side, and you hear the words fake news, and then you hear other people say there's nothing here. Well, there has to be something there if we have a governor putting a forward position army base, or I guess it'd be an army base, military base. There has to be something there. How is it as bad as we're seeing on TV? Is it worse, or
well,
are they portraying it equally?
Eagle Pass has a lot of people. A lot of people have drowned trying to cross the river there. But what the governor did is he set up train cars all along, like 40 train cars from the beginning of Shelby Park all the way down underneath the International Bridge, lined with barbed wire, and which is actually it's against federal law to put up the concertina wire. But they're doing it anyway. But what is it really? So the question is it really bad? So what happens is there's swarms of people that come. For instance, when I was in El Paso, I was chatting with a couple guys from the National Guard, and all of a sudden their radios go crazy, and like car after car after car start swarming towards the border. And so I'm running to the Del Norte Bridge because I want to get into the action and see what's going on. And the lady's like, "Oh, you don't want to go there? They're going to shut down the bridge." And I threw my 50 cents like under the window because it costs 50 cents to walk over the bridge. And I ran over there, and about 300, 400 Venezuelans were trying to get through the barrier. And what happens is they have giant concrete barriers that are lined with concrete, and they just put them up like building blocks and block the bridge off. So so when you say, is it bad? It's bad when there's, I guess, a swarm like that. But the day I got to El Paso, 42 or 43 Venezuelans had just burned to death in a prison right next to their government office. They imprisoned the Venezuelans illegally. They locked them up. The Venezuelans didn't want to be locked up, so they lit their mattresses on fire, thinking that the guards would let them out. And so instead, the guards sealed the jail shut, and everybody inside died of smoke inhalation. And that was, a horrible. How does it get worse than that? 40 people, and I got there the next morning, and there's bodies with blankets and towels over them all over the driveway of prison. And it kind of made national news, but not really. Like, that kind of stuff happens with a frequency that's it's surprising. If it happens on that side of the border, we don't talk about it. The El Paso News talks about it, but then, does the national news pick it up or doesn't it? I would say that I got detained by ICE at one point in California. And I was like, "What are you doing?" And they're like, "State your business." And I'm like, "I'm an American in California. Piss off."
Yeah.
They weren't very nice people, were they?
Well, it got a little hostile. And now don't get me wrong, I was in an area called Smuggler's Gulch, which is close to the Pacific Ocean. But by the same token, I don't look like a coyote. I don't speak like a coyote. And I had like, a 4-door, Fiesta or something like that. So the only thing I could have smuggled was, a dwarf and a 6-pack. So.
Funny.
But I did. It was very interesting that of all the encounters I had with the Federales and the cartel, the most confrontational incidents I had was with ICE, with Immigration's Customs Enforcement themselves. Which, I mean, as a reporter, you make people angry, officials sometimes, and so you're, I'm certainly equipped to deal with that kind of situation. But it was interesting that, you're an American in California, and that doesn't matter. You're still you're still boxed in by 4 cars that say ICE, and people are, the mood is very tense, even, on a Wednesday morning in the middle of nowhere, because there was nobody else there.
Yeah, I had a similar experience as a flight medic. We were coming back from one of the islands, and we were going to fuel in Puerto Rico, and the pilot filled out all the forms, but he forgot to hit send. And so when we took off and we landed, there was everything chasing us down the runway. I swear there's people chasing us down the runway. And as soon as we land, I'm right by the door. It's my job to open the door, unfold the steps for the captain to get out. And before I could even do that, the door is being basically ripped open, and there's guys jumping in with, the rifles aimed at us. I'm like, whoa, cowboy, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
So he jerks me out, and he says to me, your patient has got to get out here and walk. Who are you? I said, I'm American. We're in Puerto Rico. Isn't this supposed to be part of America?
Still a territory, or for independence? And
so I was like, dude, I don't know what part of this you don't understand. He can't walk. He's on a stretcher. That's why he's on an air ambulance. He goes, are you arguing with me? I'm like, no, I'm not arguing. I'm telling you the truth, dumbass. And I don't know what he was saying, but every time he'd key up his microphone, he would speak in whatever, Spanish, Puerto Rican, whatever. And every time he'd talk into that radio, more people would show up that want to kick my ass.
Oh,
So
no.
it's all about this. And as he's keying up with the radio one of the times, I grabbed his arm and I started yelling, look at this. Do you see what this is? I'm American. You're American. Speak English. Yeah, I got thrown up against the side of the plane pretty quickly.
Oh, no.
And detained for a slight while.
Well, the woman that was in charge of this cadre of ICE people, she brushed her holster, and I was like, and I just looked at her and I was like, really? I was like, are you going to be famous? I said, if you shoot me in California, I said, this can't. I said, and finally, and this is what a reporter does when they get in this kind of situation, I'm like, just get your supervisor here. I said, you're overstepping your authority. I said, I want a supervisor. And as soon as I said that,
Yeah.
and they all got in the cars and left.
Really?
Okay.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, see, to me, that would have been the scariest moment because, yeah, like I said, whatever he said to that mic, I don't know what he said, but more people would show up that wanted to kick my ass. And so, and the captain, God love him, he was kind of like our president today. He could barely get in and out of the plane, and he's trying to figure out what he did wrong, and he realizes on his BlackBerry he forgot to hit send. So he's trying to come out of the plane and explain this, make it all better. And yeah, I was the first point of contact.
Oh, no.
Me. So my nurse was in the back. He's just waiting for you to get shot.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
I guess you don't think of it as an exciting job, but it has its moments, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the only one that wasn't worried, like, my parents, my mother-in-law, my friends are like, you can't go down there. It's bad news down there, blah, 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 blah. And then they would say to my wife, why don't you care? And he's like, he's a reporter. He'll figure it out. Like, I wasn't a reporter anymore, but, as a reporter, I did end up arrested twice as a reporter, and
Ooh.
you don't get charged. You don't get, now I was in the middle of, what did I get arrested for? Oh, the Blue Angels. One of the Blue Angels crashed at Valdosta. And when a military jet crashes, apparently there's a 1.5 mile circumference that becomes a designated government area where you can't trespass. I didn't know, so I'm hiking through the woods with a cameraman, and all of a sudden there's a 17-year-old yelling freeze and pointing a machine gun at me. I'm like, great, fantastic.
Okay.
And they lead me back through the woods, and I'm like cut up and bleeding because it's really, in the middle of a swamp. And the guy's like, I need to see your footage. And I'm like, you can't. Like, you're not allowed. And I'm like, call your JAG, call whatever. Like, you can't do this. And so they had the state police come and arrest me for trespassing. And the state policeman is a friend of mine, and he's like, John, I'm so sorry. It's okay. It's fine. Whatever you need to do, just let me give my camera to my crew. And so anyway, he's taking me to jail, and then we get to the Lowndes County Jail, and he stops the car like 50 yards from the Sally Port, and he goes, I'm really sorry, I have to handcuff you. I'm like, okay, you can handcuff me, that's fine. So anyway, they put me in, and now it looks like they're going to put me in general population.
Oh, nice.
Not a place that I want to be.
Yeah.
No.
And I'm trying to explain to the guy, because I'm good friends with the captain of the jail. And I'm like, if you could just get Captain Cooper. I said, I know, but if you put me in general population, I get hurt. Everybody's going to get in trouble. It's just going to suck for everybody. I'm like, can you just get Captain Cooper? And so I sat there for like 40 minutes, and then all of a sudden, Captain Cooper shows up. And he goes, and here I am in my flip-flops and my orange jumpsuit. And he goes, I prayed for a moment like this my whole life.
Oh, no.
He ended up giving me a ride home.
Oh, gosh.
But the military, to show their distaste for the fact that I trespassed, it took them 2 whole days to drop the charges. So. But oh my God. Oh, and Captain Cooper kept a picture of my mugshot on his desk for a month. And every time I came in, I was like, do you have to have that? And he's like, oh, it's my prized possession.
Well, that would have been even better is if the newsroom kept it.
Yeah.
See, if that had happened to a paramedic at the firehouse, my picture would have been in the bunk room, would have been in the day room, on the bay.
I know. I should have gotten a copy, and I didn't think of it at the time. It was, but the fact that he was ride home, because he's like, you got anybody that can give you a ride home? And I'm like, no, Ken. He's like, I'll take you home. And I'm like, that's nice.
So sweet.
And I'm like, thank that dude for not throwing me in general population. Yeah. And he's like, he is one dumb son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Always
I remember we had to go to it's the jail that they picture on the front of Dragnet whenever you go into the LA County Jail. It's that building. And I had to go and take custody of a prisoner to fly them to Florida. I don't know why. I got picked for all these crazy assignments. So me and the guy are down there, and the guy that's our escort, because we have to go to the psych portion of the jail to get him, they keep telling us to just stay on this side of the yellow line. They won't mess with you. I'm like, what? You think a piece of a yellow tape or on the floor? And while we were there, the guys had to leave us because they had a lockdown. Turned out they miscounted, but they thought they had an escapee. So we were locked in with them, and we're on the side of the yellow line, and they're all just looking at us. And these are like guys with tattoos on their face and stuff. They weren't. Nobody ever threatened us. They kind of would go by and go like boo and stuff like that, but they never did anything bad to us. I mean, here I'm in my flight suit, I'm like, and. Yeah, but I was like, you really think this yellow line's gonna do something? It's like, oh, they respect the yellow line. I'm like, yeah, whatever, dude. But
okay.
I gotta say, nobody messed with us. It was funny. My partner, he's a little short guy, a little skinny guy, and the crazy patient that we were supposed to be taking would be tapping on the glass and getting the other guy's attention and pointing at Russ. And he was like taking his shirt off and making kissing noises.
Oh no.
Oh, I was having so much fun. So, look for a day
Made a friend.
for too long.
The first thing you said when you said that Dragnet building, all I could think of was Colonel Potter. He was one of the cops in
Yeah.
Dragnet.
Yep, that's right. Oh God, I forgot about that. She said that. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I don't want to keep you too long. One of the last questions I have, and we ask every guest on the show. Of course, you know, we are the paranormal. We get a lot of Bigfoot people, a lot of ghost people. I mean, I've had crazy people. Hell, I'm crazy. Have you ever had any type of paranormal ghost Bigfoot encounter?
I had an aunt, and I had a terrible feeling every time I was in her house. I hated her house. I thought her house was the doors would pop open to the there was a big china cabinet. It was an empty room, and she'd say, "Oh, it's just the pressure of the house." And I was like, there's something wrong with this place. But anyway, I was always paranoid. I usually would go sleep at my uncle's house, different uncle, but they lived about 15 miles away. But I was really tired, and I said, I'm just going to spend the night here, whatever. And I went to bed, and in the middle of the night, a vent belched a whole bunch of black, like dirt, whatever, but like in my face while I was sleeping in the middle of the night. And I was like, okay, I'm never, ever sleeping in this stupid house again. And about 2 years later, I slept there, and I slept in a different room, and I locked the door, and there was a thermostat, and I am very hot natured, and I turned the thermostat down to 65. I went to bed, and at about 2 o'clock in the morning, I woke up, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm sick. Like, I'm sweating, and there's sweat pouring off me. And I go and I look at the thermostat, and it's on 90.
Oh my God.
It was 2 o'clock in the morning. So I got up and I went to my uncle's house, and I never went to her house in the dark again. But I don't know how it went from 60 to 90, but the door was locked. Nobody came in, nobody came out. And why did the vent blow all that crap in my face? I think there was something wrong with that house. And, you know, I made it. And people are, and my uncles and aunts are like, I sleep there all the time. It's fine. It's fine. I'm like, it's fine for you. It's not fine for me. I'm never going back.
One thing I've learned is we have to trust our guts. Yeah. Well, so tell everybody where they can get your stuff. And I guess if you want to pimp, if you have a website or anything else, I do plan on keeping in touch with you. So plan on being pestered by me emailing you.
Sounds great. Actually, you can pick up Second Term anywhere where they sell books. Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Books A Million, Hudson Booksellers, any place where you sell books. It's J.M. Adams, and it's Second Term, and the website is jmadams.com. And it has links to all the places where you can buy books. As I said, I plan on having the Texas iteration of Cora's Adventure. I plan on having that done in probably in July of this year. But my book's going to be re-released in paperback right before the election.
Okay.
And you did show the cover of the book of Second Term. I actually took that picture like 4 days after January 6th. That's the peace monument with the women weeping in front of the Capitol. So I thought that would work very well. A lot of people don't do their own cover, so I was very excited to use that. So
I don't know if you happen to catch it is a good cover. If you happen to catch the art I use for YouTube.
Oh, I did. I like that very much.
Yeah.
And well, the lady who I think we just got confused on time because she lives in Hawaii. She had a near-death experience after a wreck in a Corvette. So I thought, okay, what a cool thing to do. Let's put a Corvette in front of the Capitol.
Yeah.
And there is a Corvette part of the story that happens at the Capitol, and a Mustang part that happens in front of the Capitol. So there is a muscle car element to the book.
Oh,
Gosh.
okay. Well, then I've apparently not got far enough.
So you nailed it.
It's got
Okay,
everything.
good. I always try to, because that's supposed to be your hook for getting people that are just scanning by. So
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I'm glad. Yeah, like I said, I'm gonna keep in touch with you. I'm really excited about your book. And I don't know if there's a lady by the name of Claire Isenthal. She just wrote oh gosh, what was it? New World Order, Third
Actually,
World
Claire
Order.
and I are friends. She lives in
Oh,
Indiana.
okay.
Yeah.
She is amazing. I had her on a few weeks. Well, I guess it was a couple weeks ago now. She is amazing. I loved her book. I told her the same thing. I'm going to bug you. So,
Okay.
she's working on her second one as well. So I assume you've read her book. That was a great
I have.
book.
I thought it was an excellent book. No question about it. I was
Yeah.
and she and I, we share a lot of the same. We had a lot of the same themes, just presented in different ways. Hers was a little more techno and a little more social media, and mine was a little more cowgirl, shoot 'em up.
Well, she was a Google exec, so yeah, she nailed that one. Yeah, it was great. Yeah, I'm like you got the Michael Bay version, I guess, because you like
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
A little more Independence Day.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. So, well, Facebook user, you missed it because this was a great interview. It's J.M. Adams. He's got his new book, Second Term, and you got to buy it. It's a great book, and he's working on a sequel. So, if you get that thing into a movie, I'm even going to be even more happy. So,
Yeah, well, as will I.
Yeah.
No kidding. You better find a mountain scene with a guy named Glenn then. So,
Right.
all right, man. Well, thank you for your time. I really appreciate you taking time out of your evening to spend with us. It's always a pleasure talking to authors because everybody has such a different take on things. So,
Yeah.
I'm
I
glad.
appreciate you having me. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Not
It
a
was good to
problem.
meet
Not a
you.
problem.
I enjoyed it.
I didn't get a chance to let you talk much. Did you have any questions, Dean? I'm sorry.
I didn't. I'm so sorry. I enjoyed listening to everything. I wish I had a chance to read the book. Glenn will never share it with me, but
I was fanboying.
yeah,
Well, it's true.
I
but-
plan on getting it though.
Yeah, you need to. I will talk to you soon, and
All right.
you stay safe and don't get into any more tussles with the local law. So
I'm ready to behave myself.
All right. Have a good night.
All right, we'll talk
Take
soon.
care. Take care.
See ya.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night.
Wow, that was great. Yeah, I was fanboying a little bit. I'm sorry.
No,
So-
you're fine. You're fine.
but it's so exciting reading. Like I said, he literally is taking parts of the past, parts of the present, and he's psychic, and he's taking parts of the future, and he's just molding them all together.
Oh, it sounds like a great book.
It's cool, yeah. He kind of reminds me of, I should have told him this, Harry Turtledove, which is one of my
He's my
favorite authors.
authors.
Yeah, he's kind. Well, he may be changing soon, but yeah, it kind of reminded me of that style because of the way he puts things together. I think Harry does. Harry gets a little further out there, I think, but it's okay. So, well, we have run up our 2 hours, Dina. So,
We
believe it or
have.
not. Yeah. So, let's see. We only had JT call, so that was it. What else is there? We got Friday night. We got the Grin and Guardian gang coming on. We have a Major from Fairfax County Police who will be coming on and talking about challenge coins, the history of Fairfax County Police Department, history of policing and challenge coins in general on Friday night at 9 right here. And then Saturday, Dina is going to get us set up. By tomorrow, we'll know what she's going to do with us Misfits. She's in charge of the Misfits. We put her in charge because I can't herd the cats correctly. And so we have that Saturday. Let me pull my calendar up. I've done forgotten who we got next week. It's always week to week. I forget. I get so excited looking to certain ones and then I forget where I'm at. Let's see. Next week. No, that's this week. I'm looking at. Next week we have Dan Bentham coming on, and a surprise second hour guest. I'm not going to say who yet. So,
You'll be excited.
so yeah,
You'll be excited.
you'll be excited. Yes, hold on. I can't, because I can't let it go. I got to give a good hint. I mean, if I get my phone to cooperate, because it's on that other calendar. It's somebody, if this is the week I think it is, which it is, I'm pretty sure, it's somebody that Bobby's looking forward to meeting, that I've driven him crazy about. And what is wrong? Oh, come on, phone. Work phone. Jeez, when you want something to work, it just doesn't work. Come on, go back to home screen. Me and technology. And by the way, I looked at my temperature. I'm at like 96, and I was clipping, wasn't I?
Yes. And I've been echoing. I am echoing.
Yep.
I'm echoing.
Yep. So
that's one reason I didn't talk a whole lot at the end there.
Well, it's not you. It's the CPU. It's getting way too hot. So
no, it's okay.
So, maybe this isn't the week. Well, we've got a celebrity coming back from the dead to be on our show. That's all I'm gonna say.
That's all he's got to say.
That's all I'm gonna say.
All he's gotta say.
Yeah, I can't remember if it's next week or not. I gotta go look again. All right. Well, so you can catch me tomorrow, noon to 2, on Thin Line Rock Station. Make sure to tune in. I'm playing some great tunes. I put in some plugs for the shows. We're coast to coast and around the world on that one as well. So I got that in. And so, yeah, we got all kinds of cool things coming up. And then I will address the station in Denver and San Francisco when I can release further details. But just know, Misfits, you are going west. So
Ooh, go west.
I'm excited about it. Yeah.
I'm excited.
Thank you, Jurgs. As always, JurgsRadio.com has been the backbone and helped me get indoors that I never thought I would. So thank you, Ross Jurgs. Make sure to go over and support JurgsRadio.com. And that's spelled Y-E-R-G-Z in case you can't read. So make sure to go check out the tiny little Tampa station. So we love some Ross. If it wasn't for Ross, I probably would have quit in January. That's pretty much the truth. So, yeah. So thanks to Ross, and we're growing fast, guys. Keep up with us, and don't let other shows fool you. We're kind of a big deal, so it's true. Yeah.
Draw. We are. We are.
If I play the weeds, we are a big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been around less than some other shows, and I'm in Denver, California, Washington, D.C., Maryland, Virginia, Pennsylvania, Georgia, and Florida.
We are taking over the United States. It's not the world.
That's right.
It's not the world.
That's right. That's right. I'm at 95 Celsius. That's max. So we are out of here before the CPU catches on fire. Ladies and gentlemen, I love every one of you. Impending a big fire. You'll see me again tomorrow.
Good night. Good night.
Yeah, call 911. I smell smoke.